The most insanely viral moments on paternity court.
While she was laying on her fat
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
That's okay, Your Honor, because it is fact.
You all got a lot of jokes on something that really is quite sad. Mr. Penner, you are the father.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's finally over.
I'm so sorry.
It's
Sorry.
been so hard.
I apologize.
Ooh. I just
I'll
want
give her a
to
hug,
move
Your Honor.
forward.
Absolutely, if it's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
A daughter and a father was here in the court. For 29 years, these guys believed one thing to be the truth. Turns out that wasn't the case. Their world crashed, and now they wanted some much-needed answers.
Mr. Roberts is my father. He the only one I call my father. That's who I grew up known as my father.
And Mr. Roberts, what is your side of this?
Well, I always believed that Jasmine was my daughter. I raised her as my daughter as the other children in my life. She only knows me as a father. I never even knew anything about this gentleman here.
So up until 2009, life was going well, and then bam, drama with a capital D. A weird phone call with Mommy Dearest turned the plaintiff's life upside down. Turns out the real baby daddy wanted to get in touch with her. Oh dear!
I had a phone conversation with my mother, and she said, "Don't you remember the guy that I told you who thought he was your father?" When she said that to me, Your Honor, it was a what moment, like, what are you talking about? So she said that he wanted to get in contact with me. I gave her my number to give to him, or she gave me his number. I can't remember how we actually got in contact. And then we reached out to one another.
Well, it was a shock of a lifetime for the daddy-daughter duo. Poor Mr. Roberts got hit by a ton of bricks with this revelation. He was clueless to say the least. Cue the heartache and betrayal of all kinds, people.
A few years ago, Miss Blair told me that she needed to talk to me about something, and that's when I found out. I was kept in the dark about all this. I never knew anything about Mr. Banks. I also, spent 8 months in jail for unpaid child support, and I'm $75,000 in arrears.
Miss Bronson, wrestling with this newfound info, encountered Mr. Banks. They might share DNA, but she barely knew the dude. So that experience would have been unpleasant, if I say so myself.
Mr. Banks, I want to ask you, when did you become aware that you potentially could be Miss Bronson's biological father?
I can recall when she was about 6 or 7, and I ran into her mother and Jasmine and her sister in the park. And then she had told me that Jasmine was my daughter then.
So on that fateful day, Miss Blair also got her supposed grandma. She remembered none of it though, and the other baby daddy had no idea that someone else had been paying child support on his behalf. Yeesh! Following that, the defendant poured his heart out on how he did not like being the last to know everything.
I dated Miss Bronson. I even married her 2 months after Jasmine was born, and I went on my business as raising, as the start of my family. But possibly, if I'd known that earlier, it probably wouldn't have been the rest of my daughters, because if she would have told me that earlier, that another man is the father, I would have discontinued that relationship.
All this while, Mr. Roberts had remained blissfully unaware. But since he got to know about this possibility, it has wreaked havoc on his mind. However, that didn't stop him from reminiscing all the wonderful and sweet moments he spent with his daughter.
We've been on vacations, birthdays, and now, she got her first apartment, which we live in the same complex. I live in Ben, she lives around the corner, so we still in each other's lives. Her children, my grandkids, they're at my house right now, so we see each other every day.
Imagine living with a secret this colossal every day. But no worries, because the DNA results were in and ready to be delivered. The 29-year-old secret was finally gonna get a needed closure. So on that note, get ready for the verdict.
Mr. Banks, you are the father. Do you want to be a part of her life?
Yes, I do, because I love you. If I can walk down these stairs to give you a hug, if I may.
Will you allow that?
It's fine.
We've got a front row ticket to the drama-fueled roller coaster that was the Johnson versus Owens paternity face-off. It's gonna be a wild ride of betrayal, confusion, and the ultimate question: who's the real daddy?
Ms. Owens, what concerns you most about the situation you find yourself in?
This little fella over here that possibly could be my baby daddy. I want the other family to have closure, and I'm hoping that it is her grandchild because her son is deceased, and I don't want him to be the father of my child because he's not gonna be a father.
Now picture this. The baby daddy, thinking he's the dad, signed the birth certificate. But wait, cause Miss Owens had a secret rendezvous with another guy. And now it's a paternity mystery. Cue the sarcastic slow clap for the love triangle dynamics.
Mr. Johnson, why is this so important to you?
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? She was telling me, you know, one minute that, oh yeah, you're the father. Then the next minute she telling me, a couple years down the line, that I'm not the father, you know? I'm kind of confused here. I don't know what to think.
You lying.
Oh, the sweet taste of deception. Obviously, the plaintiff didn't find it sweet as much. On top of that, it appears Mommy had paid the guy to come to the hospital. Yep, now, what was up with that situation?
You're there for the birth?
Yes.
You signed the birth certificate?
Yes, I did.
He ain't do nothing else.
Once I came there with her, I was paying for everything. I was paying to go back and forth to the doctor
He
visits.
did not pay. He
All
only
that.
went. He ain't never been to one of my doctor visits with me, never in life. And the day when I was about to have my baby, he went
Don't
that
believe
day.
this girl,
he didn't
man.
come with me.
Moving on, the baby daddy claimed to have helped around the baby. However, is saying he disrupted the court decorum. But before the judge could rebuke him, the mommy joined in with the little jokes. Oh, they were both gonna get the scolding now.
While she was laying on her fat you know? That's what I'm talking about.
Wait. Now you have to watch your language.
I'm just saying, that's okay, Your Honor, because it is fat. You know, that's okay.
Look at her,
That's
man.
okay.
You know, she
I
sleep
mean,
around with everybody,
Hey,
you know?
everybody got to sleep. Don't be mad at me for doing what you do.
Now, sadly, the other guy was deceased, and that made this paternity matter a whole lot complicated. Even though Mommy knew he could be a candidate for fatherhood, she let Mr. Johnson believe he was the real deal. And now the plaintiff could not help but pass comments at the mommy and antagonize the judge.
It didn't even, my son was
you
like,
had
my
sex
son.
with this man. How could you not think that he
I
could have been
remember
your
what
baby's
I
father?
remember that he hit it. You ain't got to tell me
Hey,
that.
everybody.
Oh, wait a
Don't be
minute.
mad at me.
Mr. Johnson, let's get some order in this court.
Oh, these guys succeeded in enraging Lauren Lake. Oh yeah, they had no idea what was coming for them, disrupting the court with all their yelling and comments. Well, now they will, and they won't ever forget this for the rest of their lives.
Your Honor, like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind, okay?
How could that not be in your mind?
Little
you
one,
had sex
can you,
with him.
little one, can you
had
calm down?
sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, doggy.
How could that not be in your mind?
Now, before the judge went for the final verdict, she enlightened these guys with what was really at stake here. While these guys clowned about, Lauren Lake set the record straight for these fellas.
He deserves to be able to look at someone and call them daddy or no, that was my father, and have a grandmother. If you are in fact found to be his biological he deserves that. Have to deal with this nonsense just because it serves you both to try to one-up one another. You can never one-up him.
The results were in, and the tension was skyrocketing. Who's the real father? Brace yourselves for a bombshell reveal that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. Here goes nothing.
Based on the testing results, the probability of relatedness is 99.99%.
So let's dive into this case where Mr. Allen, the genius extraordinaire, believes he's got this paternity thing all figured out. I mean, who needs DNA tests when you've got a teleportation machine, right? Apparently, he couldn't have fathered Miss Diaz's child because they were in different states during the conception. Of course, the teleportation machine wasn't working that day.
Why is it impossible for you to have fathered Jordan?
Well, I wasn't even in the same state as her at that time. I was in Tennessee and she was in Indiana. And at that time, she was in a relationship with another guy and I was in a relationship with another female. So at that time, we weren't even in the same state. So it really doesn't add up. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know that that does not add up.
Mr. Allen, the memory wizard, just can't seem to recall Easter. I mean, who remembers an Easter dinner, right? Miss Diaz swears they had Easter together, but he was busy in Tennessee with another female friend. Yeah, it must have been a teleportation machine mix-up.
You don't remember this Easter day?
No, ma'am, because well, you see, at the time I was with another female and her friend wanted us to go and have Easter dinner with her and her family. This was in Tennessee.
Oh, so you saying you remember the plans you had in Tennessee for Easter?
Yes, ma'am.
Their relationship, folks, was just a match made in heaven. Initially, it was supposed to be a simple hookup, but somehow they ended up talking and voila, she moved in with him. It's like they were meant to be, except for the constant fighting and bickering. Love at its finest, I tell ya.
We ended up talking and we ended up hitting it off, and she moved in with me not too soon after talking and being together. We were good for the first maybe 3-4 months of our relationship, and then after that it was always fighting and bickering. It was a whole lot of back and forth.
So a lot of back and forth, a lot of on and off.
We moved to Tennessee, and that's whenever it got worse.
Oh, and during the magical breakup, Miss Diaz revealed she was pregnant, but Mr. Allen, the true wordsmith, responded with a resounding, "Good for you, congratulations." Because that's exactly how you respond to a potential baby daddy situation.
I was pregnant, I did not know about it. I found out I was pregnant September. I'd be about 4 months.
When you confided in him and you told him I'm pregnant, what was his response?
That's not mine, that can't be, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, well, I didn't just make him myself. If you do them, 4 months later, if you do the math, if you're good at math, it leads to April. We were together April, which is Easter.
Now, we know that either one of them was lying, and if that's true, they must have been a real idiot for playing with the life of the poor child. But as the story unfolds, the suspense deepens as Mr. Allen boldly demands proof from Miss Diaz. "Prove that I'm the father," he says. He must have missed the memo about how babies tend to need a father.
She would say, well, I'm with another guy now, but you don't have to keep texting me and making sure that I'm okay. So from that point on, I was like, all right, well, whatever. But I would still text her.
But why?
To make sure to just check.
Why if we're broken up?
Because it was
the right thing to do, no. Because if you want to check in just on me, then why don't you check in the whole pregnancy when I'm pregnant?
With Mr. Allen not being in the picture, Miss Diaz was, let's say, exploring other options. Like a multiple choice quiz, but with, well, men. Mr. Allen's friend squad had the lowdown on her adventures, making this situation more of a reality TV show.
During the breakup, I was already pregnant with Jordan.
She was sleeping with 2 other guys at the time, Your Honor. How
did you find that out?
Right, my friends don't talk to you.
Multiple best friends of hers told me that she was with at least 2 guys, and that's 2 that I know of. And she texted me actually herself about this one guy she was hooking up with.
Well, someone might have sounded a little shady right there. However, Mr. Allen, the truth in this paternity courtroom is always developed by the concealed envelope. And what is that? The DNA results. I think we have taken enough of your testimony into account.
Mr. Allen, you are the father. You are the father. That is your handsome little boy. He definitely got more of your cousin's genes. But he's yours.
One moment of weakness, and now the whole relationship was on the line. That had been Miss Martin's life in a nutshell. The baby daddy had serious doubts because of mommy's antics. And he claimed to be out the door the moment results are negative.
At this point, me and Romeo have no relationship because of the paternity of our daughter. I made one mistake back in the past that he knew about, and now he's claiming that he knows nothing about it.
The relationship is in turmoil.
Yes, he completely moved out of the bedroom. Like, he lives in my living room.
Well, the stakes were truly through the roof for these guys. Now that the notorious mistake was out in the open, it's only fair we got to know the details. Our star-crossed couple seemed to have quite the relationship history. And the mistake was cherry on top.
The reason why I'm not sleeping in the bedroom is because I'm not sure if Roy is mine or not.
We've talked about this mistake, Miss Martin, and I think we need to understand exactly what was the mistake.
At the point in time, Romeo was doing him, as we say, partying, not coming home. I completely moved to Wisconsin with him. I even said, if I come up here for you, it went totally left.
Put off with the pregnancy and bang! It was a full-blown paternity fiasco now. But on an interesting note, Mr. Pinner had a slightly different version of how the news was broken to him. Check this out.
And a month later, she said, well, I have something to tell you.
What?
I had sex with somebody, I had a party, and I woke up,
Romeo, really?
I don't know if I had unprotected sex or not. And I don't
Romeo, really
know who the guy was.
No.
And I asked her, I said, who do you have sex with, blank man?
No,
because
really?
How do you not know who you slept with?
Well, all that partying was now bearing the door down with heavy consequences. The defendant was adamant that baby mama had kept few important details hidden. However, she was vehemently denying all that. Guess the heart wants what it wants, right?
He claimed he was staying, and I haven't seen Romeo in a few days, so she had to track him down for me.
That's not true, Your Honor.
No, what?
By the time we had our separation, I wasn't doing all the things that she was doing. I still was taking
full
care
of-
of that household. That still, to me, was my house. I had came there a
You
time
wasn't living in
and
your
put
house, it
everybody
was
out.
your house.
Apparently, the relationship was already unraveled, and the party night proved to be the last nail in the coffin. Mommy blamed it on the baby daddy abandoning him, while he piled it all on her. The dates, parties, and a lack of trust.
He was coming home, but then when we get up there, when I have no family, I have no friend, I don't know anybody. You know, I'm dependent on him. So when you start leaving me at home by myself, and
That's not
for
true.
days, he's with a woman. It's common sense.
Your Honor, I can tell you where it started at.
What?
After she had our oldest daughter, she changed completely. I guess she felt like she missed something.
Amidst all that perplexing conundrum, it was clear as day. These guys had love for each other and how desperately they wanted the results to be positive. This whole ordeal had taken a heavy toll on their relationship. So let's put them out of their misery and head for the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Penner, you are the father.
I'm sorry. I'm so
It's
sorry.
finally over.
I'm so sorry.
This has been so hard.
sorry.
This has been so hard.
I apologize.